Okay, don't worry about it.
I'll think about it. We'll talk about it at the end, and I'll think about it during the recording. Okay. Focus up. Yeah. Hey, Saints. Welcome back to the Shipp Show, 2 P's and no T. We're your hosts, President Dan and President Justin. Thank you for coming back for episode 4. Or if this is your first time joining us, we're happy you've decided to come along and see what we can get up to.
This is 4, huh?
This is 4.
Right?
If you believe it.
Gosh,
we're already on to 4.
Happen?
I know.
Right? It's going quick.
It's a great journey so far, and I'm hoping we can continue that run today.
I love it.
So today we're going to be talking about disappointment and setback, but first things first, I've got to ask, I'm sure the viewers are desperate to know, do you have an update on your Thanksgiving turkey coloring page for the competition?
It is so close.
It's so close?
It is so close. So it's Grateful Turkey.
Okay.
So it's
Nice.
Grateful Dead inspired.
Nice.
So it's a little bit of a tie-dye work.
I love it.
It's very intricate,
Yeah.
though, right? And so I even had to upgrade. You have the color pencils.
Mm-hmm.
And those don't always work the best, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I went out and I got some Sharpie colored markers for the holiday season.
Nice.
So I am I don't want to get over my skis here, but I think by Friday I'm going to be done with the Grateful Turkey work. Meanwhile, my wife and kiddos, they each have 2 and 3
options.
They are like a factory at home.
Okay.
So, but I'm taking my time with it. I think I'm confident it's going to turn out okay.
Do you think you have a winner?
I do.
You do?
I think I do. Because everybody walks by it in our house and they're like, oh, that looks kind of okay. I was like, all right, give me a little time. I'm got to work through it. Got to process it.
Perfect. Well, by the next time we record, you should have your winner laid out.
I'll bring
you'll
it
have
in.
to. Yes,
I'll
absolutely.
bring it in,
We'll want to
for
see
sure.
the Grateful Turkey.
Okay.
You'll have to let us know.
The Grateful Turkey's coming.
Yeah. Is that the name? Is that the official name?
That's the official name.
I love it.
I'll even autograph it, sign it.
Yes, perfect.
Maybe we could auction it off, right? That'd be good, right? Raise some money for somebody.
There we go. The Grateful Turkey for sale.
Yes.
So as I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about disappointment and setback. It's kind of a segue from our last episode about motivation. I figured we're approaching the middle of November. For myself and a lot of my other fall sports athletes, a lot of seasons are drawing to a close. So it's that time to kind of reflect and look back on your time and what you accomplished, what you didn't accomplish. And speaking from personal experience, I can definitely tell you I'm feeling exceptionally tired and feeling the effects of my season, as we talked a little bit about last time we were together.
Wait a minute. So remember you were going to bring in chocolate chip cookies?
Next episode, I'll make a promise.
So we're talking about setback today, right?
Shoot.
And failure. This could be like maybe the first
This
one.
is
in
number
the
one
series
disappointment.
today.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So we'll give you a little grace.
Okay.
Right? Because we know you're busy.
Thank you.
Student athlete.
Thank you.
Student. But I'm interested in the baker. So next time, right? It's on your to-do list. Let's get those cookies.
That'll be a reminder. I won't forget. I promise. I promise. Right. It's on the
it's
on
how
the list.
you deal with that, right?
Yes.
Setback. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But as I mentioned, like it's a lot of time for reflection. And kind of looking back at what we did and how successful we were. It's also that time of year for a lot of people. People start to look at what they did this year and how to, start setting those New Year's resolutions, things of that nature. And so I just thought it was a good time to sort of talk about setback and how to, push through that.
Ooh. So I might be interested in learning from you on this.
Okay.
So maybe talk a little bit about from your what are some setbacks, or one or two, right?
Yeah.
We all have a bunch of them. But how do you kind of process and navigate that?
I will say it's a complex process, and it's very dependent upon, situationally what the setback was or what happened. I have been from an athletics perspective, I've been an athlete for, close to 16 years.
Oh my gosh.
Competitive athlete for like 10 or 12. So my biggest setbacks in that regard have come with injury and things of that nature. And so that's tough because you're like physically incapable of doing your sport or, competing at the level you want to. And so
how do you navigate that? My son, right?
Yeah.
He's a sophomore in high school, and he had a whole summer where he had a fracture of his femur. So he wasn't able to do much, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a wasted, blown summer. He wasn't able to train and do the things that gives him joy, right? So that's a pretty big setback. And he was here with the club that he plays with. He was here this weekend. And now he's back up to not quite full fitness, but it's taken him 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's been, I think, for a young athlete, young human, right, is navigating all of that. Like I can't do the thing I love to do.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you think about that?
So I actually, in my time in college, have thankfully faced pretty minimal injuries. Knock on wood there.
Yeah, right.
But prior to that, I played club soccer for about 8, 9, 10 years or so. And so
you know it.
I actually fractured my tibia playing. We thought it was a bone bruise, so I actually fractured my leg and then played on it for like 6 more weeks. Then finally went and got an x-ray, and they're like, we actually don't know how you're walking, let alone playing soccer. And
you're trying to play through it, right? Yeah. It hurts.
And so then I ended up in a boot the entirety of summer.
Yep.
And so I think for me, it was still showing up and being there. Like I still came to practice every week.
Yep.
I went to games. I stood and coached on the sidelines.
Yeah.
It was still being involved with as much as I possibly could, because taking yourself completely out of it is just going to completely wreck you. And so I had to stay involved as much as I could. And then I recovered, and then 6 months later fractured my collarbone. So then I was out again for another couple of months.
No way.
And so it's leaning into my team, knowing that they're still there, and trying to be as involved as I can. Obviously I still had, physical therapy and things on my own to be doing.
Yep.
I'm blessed to have never had to have surgery or anything like that.
Yep.
So it's just been, the healing time. And so I had to do what I still could.
Yeah. Well, I think, we talked about last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
The kind of the building on the little successes, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's getting back, and you can train for 15 minutes. You can train for 25 minutes.
Right.
You get back to full training.
Yeah.
You get back to playing, right?
Yeah.
It's biting it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
The old saying, right? You can't eat, how do you eat an elephant, right? It's one bite at a time.
Yeah.
I think that's good, not only a way to focus your motivation, right, but dealing with setback.
Yeah.
So if you can have some little sneaky victories along the way, kind of keeps your mental IQ rising.
Right, exactly. And that was for me, with the tibia was a tough injury, because I kept going back to the doctor, and they're like, you're just not where we want you to be. And I'm like, I've been in this boot for 2.5 months.
Why isn't it healing?
What is the process?
Why
and so
isn't it healing?
Thankfully with my collarbone is a little bit more linear. I, through the appointments, they're like, you're getting better, you can start to move again and things of that nature. For me then, the biggest part that I struggled with was once I was healed, it's the courage and the confidence to get back into it.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest
kicker
for me.
Again?
Exactly. And that's why the small injuries I've had as a runner have thankfully been non kick me out of season injuries, but even still one pull of an IT band, and then all of a sudden I'm hesitant to jump over a barrier again. And so I've had to find ways to kind of step outside of myself and realize you're literally fine. Just, what you're doing.
Yeah, there's a mental game you play, right? I can't remember if at one of our earlier casts, if we talked about my friend who ran ultramarathons. Did I talk about that?
Briefly, but remind me.
Right. So he had gone from being able to run half a mile to a mile to, half a marathon to a marathon. Then he became an ultramarathoner.
That's awesome.
Right. And I saw him, right, hobbling around, right? And I was like, oh, my God. And he was really down because he couldn't run his next ultramarathon 100 miles, right? Isn't that wild?
It's absurd.
And I was like, just give yourself a little bit of grace, right? Maybe this is the universe is telling you it might be okay to take a break for a little bit for your body, right?
Yeah.
And so to get your mind straight.
Yep.
So I think that's a good... if you can kind of flip it in your brain, right, to think about what can I learn from this about myself, and maybe something's trying to tell me something.
Well, yeah, and that's a great segue. In your life, a disappointment and setback obviously transcends athletics and sports and movement. But how have you found for you are able to manage those things and kind of turn those disappointments and setbacks around?
Yeah, right. I think you learn at some point to view it a little bit differently, a little more. Maybe a little more mature. I think there's some wisdom that you gain, right, through time. Doesn't mean you don't still feel kind of the challenge, the mental challenge of a failure or setback. One of the things I learned when I had a really good fortune of going to Stanford and completing an executive program around design thinking.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, if I were to describe design thinking to folks that don't spend a lot of time in and around that topic, it's a lot of problem solving. It's a model for learning how to solve for and come up with creative solutions to kind of big, audacious challenges or difficult problems to be solved for, right? What you learn, there's a part of that design thinking process that involves iteration, right?
Yeah.
And so it's I always think of that as the metaphor of a combination lock, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking for, that didn't quite work, and there's kind of a setback there to that idea or that solution. Mm-hmm. Well, how do we keep clicking forward to find a better solution? So in a way, a failure or a setback is only a step toward a more positive solution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in a way, it allows you to embrace failure, to actually welcome it, because it's informing you. Something didn't work for a particular reason. Just look at SpaceX, right? How many times has Elon Musk team shot these rockets that have blown up, a mile up in the air?
Right, exactly.
And those can be seen as really critical failures. But if you listen to what that team is saying, it's like this is just one step toward a more permanent, better solution.
Yeah.
And so I think if you can, whether it's a personal issue or if something as large as a rocket that you're shooting off into space, I think there's a mindset to embracing that setback, that challenge, that failure on your way toward a better solution or opportunity.
Yeah. I like that the metaphor of the combination lock. I think that's really, really complex, and that's very relatable, because people always say I wish I didn't do this, I wish I didn't do this. And I actually was searching for some things to talk about on this podcast, and there was I found somebody that asked a question along the lines of if you could go and change one failure or one thing that's happened in your life, what would you go back and change? And I was admittedly pondering what my answer would be to that question. And quite frankly, the answer is nothing, because I do believe that those things happen because they're supposed to. And you learn more from those failures than you do from those successes. I've had a lot of success in my life, absolutely, but I've also failed a lot, and I can be the first to admit that. And so I remember the failures, but not in a negative light, more so as okay, well, this is what happened. How do I not do that again?
Build a better you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And it's that building process, which I think everybody goes through all throughout their lives and all various elements of their lives. Again, it transcends athletics. Athletics is a big one.
Yep.
And especially for me, I just, we talked about it's my last cross country race ever. And so I'm tasked with I just actually had my postseason meeting with my coach today and asked about how the season went and things of, that nature. And, I had the chance to reflect on how the past, August, September, October, 4 months have gone, but then also 3.5 years leading up to that. And so it's easy to be disappointed in yourself because I could have done this, or I could have done this, or I could have done this, but I also did this, and I did this, and I also did this. And so it's a tricky process to navigate that my family always says shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I'm that's valid. I get it. But also, what if I did shoulda and also coulda and also woulda? And so it's a tough process. But you know what? That's the fact that you've learned to unpack that, right? Right? So I think if you unpacked a suitcase and you shook it all up, right, there's going to be stuff in there that you might not wear anymore. Yeah. There might be stuff that's those are essential. I think that the fact that you're learning to identify those kind of small victories, positive parts of the journey. Yeah. And then to also learn from what didn't go right and what didn't go well. I think that I wish that for our boys. Yeah. Certainly for myself, those are things that I think a good dose of reflection does kind of the spirit, the heart, and the head a lot of good. Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think the other portion is that it's always changing. Goals and mindsets are always shifting, and so we as people are always learning. To tie back into our last episode, I think that setback and disappointment is really hard in the moment, but it can also be a huge motivator. And so I think those are two very commonly disconnected, but also very related topics. People often feel like they need to be motivated by other things. But I think disappointment's a huge motivator. It is. We talked about kind of the fear of failure last time, and that kind of keeps me up at night. But the idea of
it's the fear of failure forever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's the thing that would really, that's kind of the ghost that's out there. But the ability to translate those missteps or those failings or those missed calculations, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
You once you begin to embrace that, right, and begin to see it as an iteration toward a better you, a better solution. That there's a lot of gold there, right, in that wisdom.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to say too is that in when you get into the work world, right, if you have a culture that's afraid to fail, it's like you could spend. I was just in a meeting this morning. Some really brilliant folks talking about a solution, right?
Yeah.
And I've been part of some of these same conversations around the same topic for, it feels like, dog years, right? Like I've been here 4 or 5 months. Felt like 7 years worth of talking about this problem, and we were paralyzed on looking for the perfect solution, right? And I was just like, let's liberate ourselves from that. Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
Let's start the process of iterating on a better solution in the future.
Yep.
So think of the lock, click, click, click. Well, that might not be it, but then click.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
And so really liberating, I said, at the end of the day, I kind of took the cortisol levels down for everybody and said, look, let's get this figured out by January 1st.
There you go.
I don't know what that looks like. Do we need to clear all of our schedules for the next 2 to 3 weeks to begin iterating and making mistakes and failing on our way toward a solution that's going to be really great for our students? Then if that's what it takes, that's what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think you could tell kind of the room cleared up, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, we don't we don't need to be afraid that if we don't get this right or it's perfect, which it probably never will be.
Yeah.
But let's give it a go.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
Let's give it a go because our students are counting on it.
Yeah, I love that. It's reminds me. I'm full of metaphors today, I guess.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
It reminds
good,
me.
Right?
I don't know where I heard this one for the longest time. It's always the metaphor of putting the cart before the horse. Like, you can't I always like to say I'm not reinventing the wheel. Like sometimes you just need to put a Band-Aid on and start that healing process. And then you might need to get stitches down the line, but the Band-Aid's going to stop the bleeding. And I have grown, especially in my later years of college, to learn that I cannot actually fix everything or, prevent everything from happening. I just got to kind of roll with the punches and let it happen.
And you don't need to.
No, you were not designed to. And I think that mindset is really good because it is how, again, you might learn more in starting that process and then letting those combinations.
Liberating.
It is, absolutely.
It's like, you can almost feel folks take a deep breath.
Right.
Okay.
It's like, we can just start with this and then we can move. We can move on from there. I actually, I recently, this is completely unrelated, but I had to get my car fixed. And so I had to get like 2 or 3 things done. And so then
Is this a 79 Corvette or something?
No, I wish. I wish.
Right? Okay.
A 2022 Bronco Sport.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
So
that's cool.
I had to take it in for like an oil change and a tire had to be fixed and something else. And then I got on the phone and they're like, well, we could also do this and this and this and then also this. And I was like, guys, let's take a deep breath. Okay. What's going to get my car moving again? And they're like, just these things. And I was like, well, let's start there. I can always come back. You're not going to give me a discount to do it right now.
Those things will always be there to be fixed.
They'll always be there to be fixed.
Okay.
And so I saved myself the money, but also the commitment of a large
anguish,
a large scale commitment.
Oh my God!
But a great metaphor to illustrate that concept.
That's a good one.
Another thing that I wanted to talk about in relation to like disappointment, especially as athletes, when I've been very fortunate to have had the course that I have had, but many times people experience a disappointment or a setback like an injury, and then they are like out of their sport. And what that leads to is a loss of identity, right? Because people pin so much of their sport or their identity on the sport that they're able to excel in and participate in. And so whether it's like temporarily or permanently, right? How do we sort of navigate the loss of that identity and help people redefine themselves?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is,
right?
Yeah.
So I think if it's sports, right? At some point, your sport's going to quit you,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of when, right?
Yeah.
And I think good coaches and good mentors, right, help traditionally young people begin to prepare for that early.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so then if you truly love that sport and are committed to it and given all you got, that's kind of the foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you've done everything you can to be exceptional. For me, at some point, 23-foot long jumper is good. It's not great,
Yeah.
right? So that's about my little legs, about all I can get out of them. And so you have to come to that realization, right?
Yeah.
So then it becomes, well, who am I?
Yeah.
Is my identity singular or is it multiple, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's good advice, is to begin to think about we talk about it in investing strategy, right?
Yeah.
To have a really diverse strategy.
Absolutely.
Well, I think a diverse portfolio as a person is healthy, because if something does get taken away, what else do you have that gives you joy, that fills you up? I think that's good advice for folks, is to think of your identity as very, it's a multiple, right? It's not just a one specific thing that defines me. It's a lot of things that define me.
Yeah, and we talk about, something we've talked about a few times is those like skills that are like transferable skills, but also like multifaceted skills, right? And I think that can be applied to, like, some people might be in a work position in which they're like, that's their whole identity. And if, in the unfortunate reality of the business world, people lose jobs all the time. You've got to realize that those skills you have are not, they didn't
What's next?
Right. How can you use them? What can you do next? What's that next step? And I like that mindset. I have seen it, play in, and I've had the fortunate ability to go to like some leadership sessions and student athlete forums and things of that nature, in which I've met a whole lot of really cool people who have taken those exact skills, like somebody who ran and was like super cool, and then they took that running and turned into a motivational speaker, or came and taught student athletes about, exactly what we're sitting here talking about, how to use these things for the better, and how to build your persona, your identity as a student athlete.
And what doesn't quit you is the ability to work really hard, right? To love something, work really hard at something, to put yourself, all of your being into something. Those are things that will carry forward into your career, into your life. I think that's something that I look back on of, from our family to participating in sports, to learning how to read well, right? I'm dyslexic, so that took a lot of extra time and focus, where some people could really take that for granted. Like, why can't you read this? Right? Well, my brain's wired a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So those obstacles along the way, the work in navigating all of that in whatever your really passion pursuits are, how does that translate into what's next for you?
Yeah.
Right? And
absolutely.
so those skills, your point about, grit, determination, resilience,
all that thing.
The ability to solve problems, all of that you'll carry that forward into your life.
Yeah, and I think, you hit on something as well there. This all takes time. Like, it develops throughout your entire life. And I think there is sometimes this sort of like culture of get over it fast, like, suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
And like, that not only does the development process take time, but so does like the healing process from the development. Like, it takes time. So how do we kind of work to create spaces for people? Like, how can we as people create spaces for people to not have to just get over it? Yeah,
I think, a practice that at least I found that works for me is carving out, this works for a lot of things, is carving out time on a weekly basis for just you to think and kind of be with your thoughts and navigate a whole variety of evolutionary issues, right? So you're trying to build a better you. I think if that's your goal, which I think for most people it is, some folks may not declare it that way, but if you want to be a better version of yourself, that takes some intentional construction work, right?
Yeah.
And so whether it's reading, whether it's listening to music, whether it's meditating, whether it's spending time with a counselor, a trusted friend. I mean, those are, if you leave it up to chance, chances are it probably doesn't happen. Yeah. Because we're all busy and we're all going a million miles an hour. So I really think a good practice is to reserve time for you and something that would be meaningful that fills you up. That gives you a little time to process, right? A little time to think, kind of build that architecture for you for your future. I think that's really important.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's admittedly something I don't do enough, as you and I have talked about.
Yeah.
I don't. I do a lot of things, so it's hard to carve out time for me sometimes. And I'm like, well, I could be doing this, and that's my other toxic trait is I'll like be doing something for myself, and I'm like, what if I was doing something different? And it's you just got to stop. You just got to let it happen.
Yeah, and carve out time, like put it on your schedule, right? And it doesn't have to be a lot; it could be 30 minutes, right?
Exactly.
But it's just for you.
Yep.
And it's on there. It's consistent. It's something that you just don't take away.
Yep. And I told myself this at the start of last year, or this year technically, end of last year, that I was going to get into reading because I used to really love reading when I was.
Here we go. I got some books.
I was going to say we've got some books, but I fell off hard from it. So I'm going to do better about it this year, going into, I guess, 2026, I should say.
What kind of books do you like to read, first of all?
Well, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm in between like 3 different books at the moment.
Okay, that's good.
I am reading one self-help book, which is actually pretty good. It's called The Let Them Theory by Mel, I think it's Bobbins or Robbins.
Yeah,
Her podcast is super cool.
Yep.
And then I am a Tom Clancy guy. I like the action movies, so like reading the book versions of them is pretty fun.
It is.
And I've got some other options lined up that I want to read. My roommate just recommended a really good book to me that admittedly I'm forgetting the title of, but it was like his favorite book of all time. So I was like, I've got to read that one.
Here's a recommendation for you. Rainn Wilson, right? Dwight?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
so
I love him.
Actually had a chance to hear him speak, and this is a really good book. He focuses a lot about kind of that internal space you need to create for yourself. That'd be a good one.
Oh, I'll add it to my recommendations list.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So I don't really, we've covered it all. We killed it. But I've got to, I remember I did bad last time, or I did bad 2 times ago. I remembered last time. We're going to remember again today. So your final question here, if you could have a deep conversation with any historical figure or fictional character, what would it be, or who would it be, and what would you talk about?
Oh. Boy, there are a lot of folks, right?
Or you can pick one of each if you've got 2.
Well, I'd pick Jerry Garcia, right? So I never was able to sit down with Jerry Garcia. I heard the Dead play once when he was alive.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting to, the whole counter-revolution and growing up in music through the 60s, 70s, 80s, he saw a lot.
Yeah.
And so definitely if you've read a lot about him and his thoughts, I think that he's pretty free spirit. It'd just be interesting to listen to him and the stories through the years. So I'd a lot of people, but it'd be fun in the moment to spend some time with Jerry Garcia.
That's awesome.
What about you?
Oh, so I think if I had to pick a fictional character, it would be my favorite show as a kid, admittedly, which was crazy. But then growing up, I have watched it about 4 more times. Was The West Wing? I don't know if you've seen that show.
I totally have.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a political drama. So I'd want to talk to the president in that show, Martin. I believe it's played by Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
He just got like this really amazing brain. I literally have pictured myself in that cast, like running that. For the longest time, I wanted to do exactly the things they did in that show because I was like, this is like awesome. But then I realized there's probably a little bit more hurdles to getting in that, and so I was like, but as a fictional character, he's pretty cool. So I'd want to really just like pick his brain just about life and the existence of happiness and where it works. And obviously, again, we're talking about a fake character here, but if he was a real person, I think it'd be awesome.
What about a superhero or any fictional character like that? Is there anybody you want to talk to?
I think I'd have to meet like Captain America.
Yeah.
America's
I could see
America's guy. Yeah. I think I'd want to meet him. Or like no, I think Captain America's my winner.
Okay.
I've watched all of the superhero movies and like it changes all the time, but he's just like the OG, you know what I mean? Right? And so
he stands for what's right in the world, right?
That's our guy right there. And so I think I'd want to what about you?
Silver Surfer.
Ooh,
right.
All right.
So the power cosmic.
Yeah.
Rides on his cosmic surfboard from universe to universe. I'm gonna think that he's seen quite a bit, so it'd be kind of fun to learn through those experiences. That'd
absolutely
be fun.
That's awesome. Surfer. Yeah, and I can't think of a historical figure. I think the problem is there's too many historical figures that I'd want to interact with. Like there's just so many cool people. Like I was thinking about it on the way up here. I was like, who would I really want to
I would say comes to mind John Muir.
Okay.
So I think that would be, if you love the outdoors and spending time, so much of our ideas around the national parks and he coached Teddy Roosevelt quite a bit. And just his sense of wanderlust, right?
Yeah.
I think that it was simpler times, but an appreciation for the natural world. So I'd say John Muir.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You got to think of one.
Oh, now I have to. Well, okay, so this will be, I'm going to say Alexander Hamilton, and I'm going to say Alexander Hamilton for multiple reasons. Big fan of the musical, obviously. Right.
And he wouldn't know about the musical.
No, of course not.
That'd be cool. You could talk to him about how great it turned out.
Travel back and tell him about how much of a musical guy he is. But I just think it'd be really cool to see his perspective on like the founding of our country way back then. And so I think that would probably have to be my pick.
Any of the founders would be really truly interesting.
Yeah.
Right. I think we take for granted that they were omnipotent, right? And saw exactly how this was going to unfold.
Yep.
I suspect not.
Yeah.
I suspect that they would have hoped for constant iteration.
Yeah.
Right? To improve, more perfect union, right? It's kind of written into who we are, is to keep working at being better selves, better country.
Yeah, I agree.
We have work to do.
We do.
We have work to do.
There's always work to be done. There's always work to be done.
Love it.
Well, I got to make promises now. Next episode, I will have a song for you.
And
I will have cookies.
There you go. Okay.
And you
have witnesses here.
I do.
Cookies,
the production crew is keeping me here.
Yes.
And you need your top 100 songs of all time.
I do.
Your list. Yes.
And the Grateful Turkey.
Yeah, and the Grateful Turkey to show off.
He's coming. The Grateful Turkey's coming.
Episode 5 will be our final episode of semester 1, and we'll end it on all kinds of highs there.
We will.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks, my friend.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. And we'll see you in the next one.
All right.
Peace out, Saints.
Okay. That was fun. He's a pro. Odo pro. That class must be okay, huh?